This is David Mould. I'm reading from my book, Postcards from the Borderlands. This excerpt is entitled Shanghaied. Where's the check-in counter for Shanghai Airlines? I buttonholed a Malaysian Airlines agent at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. I don't think they have one, she offered. I think China Eastern handles their check-in. Sorry, I'm not sure. I had arrived at the airport in plenty of time because I had a nagging suspicion about the first leg of my return flight to the US. My travel agent had emailed a few days earlier that the morning flight to Shanghai was cancelled, even though it was still showing on the online schedule. I called the Shanghai Airlines office in Kuala Lumpur several times, but no one picked up. I arrived at the airport expecting problems. I waited an hour at the China Eastern desk before an agent appeared and started fiddling with keys on the computer keyboard. On the departure monitor, the Shanghai flight was showing as cancelled. "That's a mistake," he said. "It's still scheduled. Come back here in an hour and check in." I retreated to the restaurant, relieved that the issue had been settled. An hour later there was no one at the China Eastern desk, and the flight was still listed as cancelled. "You have to rebook," the Malaysian Airlines representative at the next counter confirmed. "China Eastern has no more flights tonight, so the representative will not be back. You should try calling them." No one from China Eastern or Shanghai Airlines was answering the phone at 2 a.m., so I returned to talk to the Malaysian Airlines agent. "We can get you on our delayed flight to Shanghai leaving at 5 a.m., he said. "Can I see your China visa?" "I don't have one," I said. "Do I need one if I'm changing to another international flight?" "You don't need one if you have a confirmed itinerary from Shanghai. The problem is that you missed your flight to Tokyo, so you no longer have a confirmed itinerary." It was a classic catch-22. No confirmed itinerary, no visa. The agent could have refused to rebook me on the Malaysian flight, but he realized that the problem was not of my making. "Here's your boarding card," he said. "I'm just not sure what will happen in Shanghai." The flight touched down mid-morning at Shanghai's Pudong International Airport. The runway and terminal buildings were shrouded in thick smog. In the airport, many people were wearing face masks. Pollution levels had spiked. I was happy that a visit to Shanghai proper was not on my schedule. Because I was not officially a transit passenger, I had to go through the immigration line. The officer didn't know what to do with this passenger without a visa or an itinerary. "Please, you sit," he said. I was directed to a holding area while he consulted with his supervisor. They kept glancing in my direction while they called whoever it was who was authorized to decide my fate. I was just about resigned to being sent back to Kuala Lumpur when the officer returned with my passport and released me, without a visa, into the departure area to rebook my Tokyo flight with All Nippon Airways. This took another hour, several calls, and one computer reboot. I could have just walked out into the smog of Shanghai. I had almost as much trouble returning through immigration to board the Tokyo flight. "You have been travelling in China without a visa?" the officer asked. I explained that the only part of China I had seen was the airport departure area. He flipped through the visa pages in my passport, pausing at a page with a Kazakhstan visa in Cyrillic script. "You have come from Russia?" he asked. "No, Malaysia," I replied. He could probably tell from my expression that it was a long story and he didn't want to hear it. "Have a good flight and a Happy New Year," he said. My first and only visit to China had lasted almost 4 hours. It felt like much longer. Postcards from the Borderlands by David Mould, published by Open Books, is available from Amazon and other online booksellers.